We've all been there, right? Like staring at that to-do list, it feels like it's a mile long, and just that like procrastination feeling in your stomach. That big important task that you know you should do keeps getting pushed aside. It's so weird. Like, why are we drawn to doing the million little things except the one that we should be doing? So today we're diving deep into Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. It's a book with like 21 different strategies for beating procrastination and hopefully skyrocketing our productivity. But we're not just going to summarize it. No way. We're going to get to the good stuff that you can actually use to make a difference starting right now. Tracy starts with a pretty powerful concept: setting the table. Before you even look at your to-do list, you got to take a step back. What are your goals? And I don't mean vague stuff like be more successful. I mean crystal clear, specific goals. Think of it like this. If you were going on a road trip across the country, you wouldn't just hop in the car and go, right, no. You'd get a map plan, your stops, figure out where you're actually going. Well, your goals are like that roadmap.
They keep you on track and stop you from wasting time on things that don't matter. And speaking of maps, let's talk about planning. Okay, I know the word planning can make people cringe, but trust me, even 5 minutes of planning in the morning can save you hours of wasted time and frustration later. I used to think planning was a waste of time too, until I had one of those days where just everything went wrong. I was scrambling, stressed out, and I got nothing done. That's when I realized that planning even a little bit goes a long way. It's not about these crazy color-coded schedules. It's about taking a few minutes to figure out what's important, what your big goals are, and set yourself up for success. Okay, now here's where things get interesting. Have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? This concept is a total game changer for productivity. It basically says 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort. Think about it. You probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time, right? Or in a business, maybe 80% of the money comes from 20% of the customers. The trick is to figure out your 80-20 areas. What are the things that really make a difference for you? Once you know, you can focus on those and get way more done in less time. And get this, Tracy actually says to do strategic procrastination. I know it sounds crazy. We always hear that procrastination is BD. But here's the thing. If you put off the less important stuff on purpose, you actually free up space and energy for that crucial 20%. It's like clearing out the clutter to focus on the masterpiece. This ties right back into that 80-20 rule. You're basically giving yourself permission to procrastinate on the stuff that doesn't matter as much. But how do you decide what to do first and what to put off? That's where Tracy's ABCD method comes in. So picture your to-do list. Now rank everything from A to E. A tasks are mission-critical, must-do-today things, your big frogs. B tasks are important but not super urgent. C tasks are nice to do but won't be a disaster if they wait. Then you've got D tasks, things you can give to someone else. And finally, E tasks are things you could just get rid of altogether. The key here is to always do that A1 task first. Eat that frog first thing in the morning and the rest of your day will be easy. It's about taking control before your day controls you. But it's not just about being a productivity machine. Tracy also talks about working smarter and happier. That's lesson 12. Leverage your special talents. This means playing to your strengths, doing more of what you're good at and less of what drains you. When you match your tasks to your talents, you'll be more efficient. In the end, you'll enjoy your work more. I mean, who wouldn't want that? But let's be real. Even when we know what to do first and how to use our strengths, those big goals can still feel overwhelming. We can get stuck on how big they are and end up procrastinating even more. I've been there tons of times. But Tracy has a great analogy for this. He talks about an oil barrel. You can't move a full oil barrel all at once, can you? No way. But you can move it one spoonful at a time. The same goes for those goals that feel impossible. Break them down into smaller steps. Tracy calls this slice and dice. Suddenly, even the scariest project seems doable when you break it down. It's like a shift in how you see it. Instead of staring at a mountain, you're taking one step at a time. And before you know it, you're at the top. But here's something else that's really important. You can't pour from an empty cup. Tracy has a whole chapter on maximizing your personal power. It's one of the most important things in the whole book. We often think about productivity as systems, strategies, hacks. But what if the real key is taking care of yourself? Sleep, exercise, mindfulness. We know we should be doing these things, but we often don't. But here's the thing. When you take care of yourself, you're actually helping your productivity. Think of it like this. Would you expect a car to run without any maintenance? Of course not. Well, your body and mind are the same way. This isn't about becoming some health nut. It's about understanding that your physical and mental health are the foundation for everything else. When you're tired, stressed out, and running on empty, it's basically impossible to focus, make good choices, or get things done. On the other hand, when you take care of yourself, you have the energy, the clarity, the resilience you need to tackle those frogs head on. Remember, productivity isn't about grinding yourself down. It's about performing at your best. And one of the best ways to do that is to stop task switching. You know that feeling of being busy all the time but getting nothing done. Million tabs open, bouncing between emails, messages, to-dos, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted, but you haven't really accomplished anything. This is where Tracy's single-handle approach comes in. It's super simple, but really powerful. The idea is to pick one task, one frog, and focus on it until it's done. No distractions, no multitasking, just pure focus. Turn off notifications, close those extra tabs, silence your phone, and give that task everything you've got. Even if it's just for 30 minutes, you'll be amazed how much you can get done when you're fully present. Plus, there's something so satisfying about finishing a task. It's a feeling of accomplishment, a sense of momentum that can carry you through the rest of your day, like you're finally in control of your time and your energy. And that feeling is priceless. That feeling of momentum is so important once you start getting things done off your list. Just keep going. It's like a snowball. But it's not just about checking things off. It's also about that feeling of urgency, that drive to make progress. It's not about rushing through things. It's about knowing that time is precious. We can't waste it procrastinating or being indecisive. It's about being proactive, taking charge, making every moment count. So let's put it all together. We talked about clear goals, planning the 80-20 rule, and even procrastinating strategically. But how do you actually USE this stuff in your life? How do you turn these ideas into results? I think the best way to start is by finding your biggest frog, that one task you've been avoiding, the one that keeps bugging you. Maybe it's a work thing, a personal goal, even just a chore. Whatever it is, bring it to the front of your mind, acknowledge it, and then get ready to break it down. Remember the oil barrel. You got to take it one spoonful at a time. So slice and dice that big frog into smaller steps. Suddenly doesn't seem so scary anymore. Here's a tip. Schedule a specific time to tackle that first step. Don't just leave it to chance. Put it in your calendar like a meeting. And then the most important part, show up for that appointment with yourself. Don't let yourself get distracted. Don't let other people's stuff take over your time. This is your time to focus on your frog. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Even 15 minutes is progress. Another important piece, use your strengths. Think about how your talents can help you do this task in a way that feels good and efficient. Maybe you're a visual person, so make a mind map or a chart to break it down. Or maybe you're more auditory, so talk it through with a friend to get your thoughts straight. The point is to work with yourself, not against yourself. Find what works for you. Make productivity work for you, not the other way around. And don't forget about taking care of yourself. We talked about maximizing your personal power. And it's worth saying again, sleep, exercise, mindfulness. These aren't just trendy words. They're essential for staying focused and having the energy to tackle those frogs. When you're well rested, your mind is sharp. You make better decisions, and you're less likely to get distracted. When you move your body, you release endorphins, which make you feel good and help you focus. And even a few minutes of mindfulness each day helps you stay calm and present, even when things are crazy. It's not about being perfect. It's about giving yourself the best possible chance to succeed. Remember, productivity isn't about burning yourself out. It's about finding a system that helps you reach your goals while feeling good and energized.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're productive and thriving. Okay, I know we've covered a lot. And honestly, we've just scratched the surface of Eat That Frog. Tracy talks about so much more, like figuring out what's holding you back, escaping those tech time wasters, and getting good at delegating. So I definitely recommend reading the book to get all 21 strategies. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge. We talked about finding your biggest frog, breaking it down, scheduling time, and using your strengths. Now it's time for action. What's one small step you can take today to start tackling that frog? It doesn't have to be huge, just something to get the ball rolling. Maybe it's making a list of smaller steps, or getting the stuff you need, or it's setting a timer for 15 minutes of focus. Just make a start. Remember, taking control of your time and your tasks is a process. It's not about being perfect overnight. It's about making progress one step at a time. So start small. Try these strategies and find what works for you. And most importantly, don't be afraid to eat that frog. Yeah, it's about finding that balance right. Being productive, but not burning yourself out.
That's really what Eat That Frog is all about. Not just getting things done, but designing a life where you can achieve your goals without sacrificing your well-being. Working smarter, not harder, and actually enjoying the process. And like I said, we've really just scratched the surface here. Tracy goes into so much more in the book, like time management techniques, how to stop procrastinating, tips for building momentum and staying motivated. Definitely grab a copy and check it out. But before we go, I want to leave you with this. Think about that one thing you've been putting off, that frog that's been staring you down. What's one small step you can take today to start tackling it? Doesn't have to be a big thing. Maybe just writing down the steps or getting everything you need, or even just setting a timer for 15 minutes of focused work. The important thing is to do something, to start moving. Remember progress over perfection. Don't get hung up on doing everything perfectly right away. Just start. Experiment with what we talked about. See what works for you and keep adjusting as you go. And most importantly, remember, you have the power to take control of your time, your tasks, and your life. You have everything you need to eat that frog and achieve your goals. So go out there and make it happen.